Good morning, friends. Welcome to Freedom Makers. I'm Amanda, and this morning I am going to make an applesauce cake. This is on page 227 in the Living on a Dime cookbook. I have been perusing this cookbook for about a month, and I love it. I love everything about it. It's so versatile. It covers so many different things. If there ever was a prepper cookbook, this is it, because you can make everything and anything you can think of from scratch. So this recipe, I did modify several things in it just to accommodate our family's dietary needs. There are things we can't eat, don't eat, or that I just didn't have on hand. So I had to make some substitutions in this today. So this morning I am up and at 'em making this cake for breakfast, because who doesn't like cake for breakfast, right? So we're just going to have fun with this. I'm excited to try it out. I'm excited to taste it and see what Sunshine thinks of it as well. She will be my little taste tester, of course, at the end of the video. So instead of the shortening here, I am going to be using 1 stick of butter softened. Instead of the 1½ cups of sugar, I am going to split this between 2 sweeteners that I can use. We don't use a lot of white sugar in our home. So I'm using 3/4 cup of organic coconut palm sugar, and then a 3/4 cup of local honey. Then down the line you see 2½ cups of flour. I'm assuming this would be white flour. We are gluten-free, and so I'm using almond flour instead. So in this bowl I have my 3/4 cup of the organic coconut palm sugar, my stick of butter. I'm going to cream this together, and then I'm going to add 3/4 cup of my local raw honey. Next, I'm adding 2 farm fresh eggs. In this bowl, I have my 2½ cups of almond flour. I have my 1/2 teaspoon of salt, my 1/2 teaspoon of clove, and my teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm going to mix this together, and then I'm going to mix it into my wet ingredients. Well, I made a little error. You were supposed to add in your applesauce and flour alternately. I dumped it all in, so now I'm adding my 1½ cups of applesauce. Again, that was supposed to happen alternately, but I didn't, so that's okay. So now I'm adding in my organic applesauce here. This has a really nice batter consistency. I'm loving it. It smells so good. Next, I'm dissolving about 1 teaspoon of baking soda in about 2 tablespoons of hot water. I'm going to pour this in and stir. I also looked in my pantry and found that I am extremely low on raisins, so we're skipping that today, even though it's in the recipe. Instead, I'm just putting in my walnuts here. These are just coarsely chopped. I'm going to mix this in, and we'll be ready to pour it in our dish. The instructions call for this to bake for 1 hour at 350. Here I have prepared a baking dish instead of a loaf pan. The recipe calls for a loaf pan. This is meant to be a cake in a loaf pan, but I am doing it in an actual cake pan today because this is what I want to use. So I'm going to pour my cake batter into this, scrape out all the goodies. So now I'm going to pop this in the oven. I'll check it in about 35 minutes or so and just see how we're doing. This may or may not take up to the full hour in the recipe because I did change the shape of the dish that I'm baking in. So we will see how that goes, and I'll keep you guys posted. And here we have it, y'all. It baked for about 1 hour and 5 minutes. It probably could have been in for just 55 or so. I overdid it just a little bit. But really, the crust on here, it's really good. It kind of caramelized, so that's super tasty. I'm going to cut into this in just a moment. It's mostly cool. I did notice in the middle it sunk just a little bit. But we're going to cut into this and see how it looks on the inside. It smells like autumn. It smells really good. Okay. So it is a little moist. It's way more moist than I thought it was going to be. And this is partly due because I used the almond flour instead. So I may play with this a little bit more, but this is going to be delicious. My taste tester just woke up and I'm going to let her take a bite.
This delicious breakfast.
I'm so glad you like it. Yay. Okay, so this is the recipe that I modified from page 227 in the Living on a Dime cookbook. The only thing at this point that I would have changed is I would have left it in 10 minutes less. And instead of substituting straight almond flour for this recipe, I think I would add some coconut flour in there as well, just for a little different density. It's very crumbly, and I think that that would help a lot. Oh, and next time I would love to have some actual raisins to put in it. So that would be really yummy, but all in all, this was a success. We are going to be modifying more of these recipes in the future so that we can incorporate our lifestyle and our needs into this wonderful cookbook. We love this cookbook. If you would like to try this cookbook out, I am going to list a link below so that you can check into that and order one through my link. And we will catch you guys in the next video.